Hello everyone, welcome to a brand new episode. Today I am talking to the lovely Laura from Tomato Tutors. Hello. I, as you know, I'm really interested in how women especially start their own businesses, take their idea into reality, and how they kind of deal with all the bumps and humps along the way. And so I'm really chuffed to chat to you today. Laura, tell me all about Tomato Tutors and everyone who doesn't know about you.
So Tomato Tutors is a holistic education company, and it's more than just providing tutors. We offer lots of different services and workshops for both the parent and the child, because we believe that if you look after a person as a whole and a family as a whole, you're going to get a much greater chance of, good, decent level of health and happiness.
Wow.
So, I started off being a maths tutor and science tutor, which was very kind of straightforward, just go in, kind of impart the knowledge, check that the child's understanding it and come away. But since having Jesse, my son, who's just turned 4, after having Jesse, I just thought it's not enough for me as a person. I'm not feeling fully satisfied. I was doing other things. I was kind of more in the art world, running, curating exhibitions, and during pregnancy getting kind of headhunted by Somerset House and having to say no because I was like in my 3rd trimester. So that was a kind of sliding doors moment. But then when Jesse was just about 1, then thought, right, I'm going to brand what I do, because people are coming to me because I give something extra, not just the maths and science knowledge for GCSE and A levels, but they're getting some kind of, I think the parents were feeling like they kind of got almost like, they got there via me. It was like an advice portal where parents of both secondary and primary school age children, they just didn't have long enough with their teachers at the parent teacher evening.
Yes.
And there's because the education system at the moment is a bit kind of in a mess. The teachers are stressed, parents are stressed, and there were things just that parents needed to ask but didn't have a way to kind of comfortably check, where's my child at? If they're not doing well at that, why could that be? And so we just became, I just became this service provider that allowed parents to kind of really understand and discuss and kind of action plan what they could do to help their child.
And did you think it was a business originally? When did you listen to the clues for a long time before you actually thought, hang about, there's a bit of a through line here, and I'm hearing the same things again and again?
Yeah, it was definitely, I could see that there was a trend, and I was getting a lot of the same feedback from many different families of many different backgrounds, cultures, income levels, areas, different age children. They all saying the same thing, which is like, this can't be it for my child. I want to protect their mental health, their well-being. I want to protect mine. I'm doing all these amazing things. And I kind of coined the term achievement treadmill. And I was then starting to really help parents to see that, less is more.
Yes.
And then in my own kind of reading online and in books as a parent, the whole kind of slow parenting movement was really taking off, and especially in America. And I just felt really inspired by thinking, well, no, I'm not going to just see all these parents and children just trying to feel like they have to constantly keep up with everything, and actually the kids are exhausted. Like some little children had bags under their eyes, but yet the parent was like working her butt off to be able to pay for all these extra kind of music, dance, art, language tutors, you name it. And I didn't want to kind of be another of those things that families have to like feel like they have to kind of overstretch themselves. So it was always an obvious idea that this is something that families really, really need. They're willing to pay the money to do it, and it's going to hopefully really benefit the children.
Absolutely. And with everything that is going on in our world and our education system, and both of us having young boys, certainly is a consideration of what we share with our children and how we present the world to them, and try and maintain a positive, optimistic viewpoint on the world, that they can do anything that they want to. And certainly from my own education, I went to a comprehensive school, and it was one of those, you're bright or you're thick, that those would be the sort of words that you would use. And you think there's so many ways of measuring and talking about learning, and so I think what you're doing is just fantastic, because so many people could easily slip through the net. And I know at my school there was this sort of thing, well, just have a baby when you're 16 and that's great, and that's all you need to do. And there's nothing wrong with that if that is the path that you want to choose, but people have different aspirations. So you had the idea, and people were kind of nodding along and kind of thinking, you're getting all the little signs. What did you do then in terms of making it serious, or going pro, as it were?
Well, I guess I got fully booked to the point that I couldn't take on any more clients. So then people were starting to ask me for referrals, and I'd only obviously that I really trusted and thought that they could kind of provide a tutoring service that was not hot housing but nurturing. And then once that didn't stop, people continuously started to ask, I thought, oh, actually maybe I kind of need to make something of this. But at the same time I was still running my pop-up gallery, which wasn't making really any money. It was all for the love. And but that was also going really well, and that's from doing the pop-up shows, that's what had got Somerset House interested in me. So I felt like I was, even if it wasn't money-wise doing well, it still was doing something interesting within the kind of graphic art world, like illustration, graphic design. So it was, so I had about a year and a half of trying to kind of juggle both of them.
And a baby.
And a baby, and I'm a single parent. So it was a bit of a crazy time. But I loved it, and I wouldn't regret any of it. It was really fun. I'd have my son in a sling at all the kind of private views, and he'd be there, bouncer when I was, pointed to my team about where different pieces should be hung. So then with the advice of friends and my family, they were like, look, this is doing really well. You can fit it around Jesse as he's growing.
How did you know, from all those kind of little signs along the way, people giving you that amazing feedback, that it could actually be a business? And then what were the steps that you kind of took to go pro effectively?
Sure. Okay, so signs that it could be a business, there's low overheads. So I'm going to somebody's house, or they're coming to my house, and I'm not having to rent a space at this point. And then so that was one thing. That was low overheads, meant little risk. Then how did I actually kind of go pro? I guess because I was going to, I was attending lots of mothers' meetings at that time, and Yvonne, the wonderful Yvonne, really kind of took me under her wing and gave me lots of expert advice. She was really serious about me, having the numbers. It wasn't about how many followers do you have, how many likes, all of that kind of stuff. It was about, is it a business or is it a hobby? And that was really a good point for me to kind of right at the beginning think, if this isn't making money, or it doesn't have the potential to, then it's a pastime, it's a recreational activity.
That's so important, actually, because we do live in that sort of, anyone can start a business from their kitchen table, anyone can put a nice picture on Instagram, but just coming back to those basics of like, how much does it cost to run it, and
Yeah.
what are you going to make, and
Yeah.
what does that look like in reality? Yeah.
And I done a kind of business plan, kind of accountancy workshop, which was for single parents, and I felt really, I don't know, I felt really like, you know, I wasn't a teenage parent, but I had all that. I felt like at that time I was really carrying a lot of stigma of being a single parent, and so I was going along to these weekly meetings, and they were actually, but I felt really nervous beforehand. And it wasn't, you know, it wasn't like your cool Shoreditch mum meetups. It was just kind of going down to a local office block where there were lots of different mums that all looked a bit scared.
Yeah.
But it was fantastic. It got me to write down my business plan, which actually only now am I actually using, and it's changed so many times since then. But it got my head in the right place.
Yes.
Because I think you have to kind of work out, what is the business plan and what do I see? And then you have to decide, okay, what am I ready to show my audience in the world? And you've kind of got to understand both simultaneously. So I understood where I wanted to take it, but I needed to know, you know, how can I start to grow it? So it grew and in the beginning by being an agency, which allowed me as a kind of zero startup to make a bit of capital to then go on to do other things. So that was good. And then what I was showing the world was, I really, you know, I wanted to create a name, a brand, the look, and, you know, all the fun bit,
all the arty stuff.
all the arty, so I could bring in my kind of my design skills, and then I had friends that luckily kind of work in the design world that really helped me. And then my friend from uni, I just called him up, and he's called Nick, and I was Nick Smart, and I was like, oh, you're smart, like I want you to get involved. And he was already helping me loads with the gallery stuff, so we knew that we worked really well together, and we could be up at kind of, you know, 1 o'clock at night going, it's a little bit too pink, and you know, we could
I like
have
the
one
font,
of those,
but not in that kind of exactly. One thing I was just going to ask you is, because we all have it, those moments of, especially when you've got a young baby, I don't really fancy it today, I'm not feeling my best, or is it even worth me going anywhere, all this kind of stuff. And I'm a total introvert as well, so like I really have to have a good reason to leave my sofa. But when you kind of made that move, even though there was sort of the stuff of, you know, the stigma and the stories that you were kind of listening to, what actually made you go, come on kiddo, like get yourself there and do that? How did you do that? Because I think so many of us, we have these ideas that we've just never fully explored. Don't worry. That we've just never explored because, I don't know, fear, I guess, got in the way. So how did you get out your own way?
I think that's where I use social media for its benefit. You know, Lucy Sheridan, she really kind of pioneers being comparison free, which I completely believe in, but I think you always have to find a balance in anything in life, and the balance was struck from not going overboard and feeling like I'm worthless and look at all these people, but taking inspiration from all these other amazing women and business owners, and seeing them doing it and thinking, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. And I felt like I caught the bug at that time, which was like, there wasn't so many kind of mum work business things groups to go to. It was relatively new. But then also Charlotte Philby from the late great the Motherland, she really gave me
a piece for them. It was so brilliant, wasn't it? Big love to Charlotte.
Big love. Like we actually have probably over 100 friends in common. She went to school with my son's dad, and we speak all the time via Instagram, WhatsApp, the phone, but we've never met. It's the weirdest thing.
You still haven't met?
No, we still haven't met. It's an ongoing joke now with both of us, and she's like my cyber lover.
God, that's so funny.
But Charlotte really helped me because she got me to write a few pieces for the motherland. And at that point, I didn't have any confidence in what I had to say or write, especially writing it down. And it gave me, I done it, and actually I liked what I'd produced. And then it got really, really nice feedback from lots of different people that I had never met before. And I thought, oh wow, okay, maybe I can roll with this.
Yes.
So it was definitely having a few key people in my life that weren't just friends and family, but that were kind of more on the work side of things to kind of champion what I was doing and encourage me.
Yes.
So that helped, especially if you're setting out on your own. You don't necessarily have a business partner or colleagues or
anyone
so
to talk to.
Yeah. And I spoke to my mum, we work together now, and it's fantastic, but I still felt like my mum was just being nice to me.
Right.
And
they just want to keep you safe and looked after.
Yeah.
I know that we'll do it with our boys if they want to start a business.
Yeah.
Like, don't hurt my kid, though, or I hope it's all right, or you can come and eat here.
But no, it just felt really good to have people kind of in a similar industry and being able to say, no, what you're doing is really valuable, this is really cool, and keep going. So Yvonne was fantastic, Charlotte was fantastic. I loved what Jenny had created with Mothers Meetings, and I can't say that didn't really kind of give me that drive and that go thing. And then and then all the people that came on board, like my friend Nick and my friend James, who just said, like, we'll help you with the website, we'll help you with the design. And they just having that faith that I was actually building something that could do really well.
Yes.
Definitely propelled me and gave me the initial momentum.
Yeah, I think asking for help as well. I know, certainly before I became a mum, I would never ask anybody for help. It would involve me sitting up like, I'm determined to figure this out. I'll do it, and all the rest of it. But I think it's suddenly when you become a mum through it takes a village and all of that kind of stuff, that I've suddenly allowed myself to be a little bit more vulnerable and going, do you know what, I really need help with this, or could you look at it, or just be willing to put, and the feedback is amazing that you get, whether it's amazing or not, but you learn so much from that.
Yeah, and I think it's that whole, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. I think I was being a single parent. I had lived from 38 weeks pregnant to my son being 9 months with my parents, and then at 9 months I was like, I want my own place back. So December 2014, I think it was, I decided that 10 days before Christmas it was a really good time to move into a new flat. So I think just doing all those things and getting over the fear of living alone, because I never lived alone before, and now I've got a kind of small helpless being that I've got to also protect.
Yes.
So all of those things just gave me confidence, and then I just continue to think, well, it's not a business that's taking an enormous amount of risk, so why not keep going?
Yes. And also you're passionate about it, you like doing it. And I always say with coaching clients is sometimes they'll have a few business ideas, but they're never, even in that additional sort of that initial stage rather, they're not really selling it, as in they're like, I've kind of got this idea but I don't really want to do it, and I'm all like, don't do it then, because it's a business ultimately. But it
has to be something you're passionate about. I could talk and I could read and I could write and I could teach all day long. I love working with children, and I love seeing that smile on their face when they're like, oh, I get it now, and they just get that kind of light bulb moment, and everything just stops being cloudy and the blue light is there, the blue sky, and that parents also get that sense of relief that, okay, somebody understands how to help my child, and they can explain to me how I can help my child, because it just doesn't, this school is there to kind of, hopefully create a good life for people, not to make them feel crap about themselves and give them self-esteem issues, which some of the time it does do that.
And it's so rife, isn't it? You are really in that pen with everybody else, and everybody's sort of looking in that kind of way. So after the initial stages of kind of getting everything in place, how did you sort of know, I think I'm onto something? great here, and how did you sort of then grow it to what it is now?
Yeah, I think I'm still in that mode where Beth, my lovely partner and like business partner and colleague, she is still like, Laura, what we're doing is really great, but I still kind of feel like a bit underconfident sometimes. And I think just the amount of people that were getting in contact and writing to us and saying like, asking questions, saying that they needed help and that they weren't able to get that from anywhere else, that I realised, wow, there's a lot of people out there that, that would benefit from what we offer.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And that, the more you, and I think it is that thing, the more you do something, the more sort of exciting it becomes, and then other ideas kind of spark and
yeah, it feels like I'm really in the middle of it at the moment. We're at a really exciting stage, but there's still so much more that I want to do and that I can see us definitely doing. Yeah. And it's just a matter of having enough time in the day and days in the week. I was
going to ask you that actually. How did you know what to focus on? Because when you're first starting stuff, your to-do list is just endless, and social media, I've got to do this, I've got to, so how did you know which bits to focus on and kind of get stuff going and building momentum, but without sending yourself totally crazy?
Well, I think I still don't achieve everything that I would like to. I'm a Virgo and perfectionist, but so there's loads that I would like to focus on more, like my social media. I'd like to be a bit more consistent, but I'm working on that. But what I thought is that I have clients, and they're the people that are paying, they're paying my wage, although I'm not taking a wage. But they're the ones that are meaning that this is a business, and they're number one. So I need to look after my clients and make sure we've got a good relationship. And instead of trying to go out and get 50 more clients, nurture again the ones that we've got. And if they're feeling like they're getting a good service and that they're cared about, that then hopefully they'll tell people, because working with children, I think you grow through word of mouth. People want, it's about trust.
Yes.
So yeah, that was my priority. And also just as I went along, I remember I used to go and have reflexology, and we talk with the therapist, and she say, how can you get that work-life balance and that you be happy? So things got easier when my son started nursery. That got a lot easier. And then I could kind of work on, I tried to work on like the CRM, the customer, I can't even remember what that stands for, but basically we have an online system that allows us to look after all the accounts, communications with the parents, all of that kind of thing. So just having really good systems in place. Yes. But I feel like I'm still trying to achieve that.
Absolutely. Somebody asked me the other day, actually, you feel like you're in a good place, and I said, yeah, I feel like I've got a really good momentum. But then you think, well, I thought that 6 months ago, but I didn't know half the things that I know now. And I think it's just ever changing and learning and things. Do you have any strategies or things that you do every day that just make everything easier, or tips that you could share with everybody?
I try and do that whole eat the frog thing. So I try and email back the people that I think, I really don't want to email them, or that thing that
you're going to get 6 paragraphs back.
Yeah, so I try and kind of do the things that I would naturally want to put off. That really helps, because because even if you avoid it, it's still there in the pit of your stomach. So I try and do that. I also have a puppy now who at some point, I think he popped his head in. I walk every day in the woods sometimes I do it twice a day for 20 minutes, or sometimes I do a longer walk, and that really, really helps. And then when I work with Beth, we have an office day, kind of almost 9 to 5. We do our Monday morning agenda in the woods, and we go through everything that we want to tackle. So actually, creating an agenda for the day and thinking what's going to realistically be on my to-do list. So that's mine today. and don't try and put like 20 things on. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 things on. That's a chunk of the list, and I've ticked off 3 of them so far. So yeah, being realistic about what you can achieve in whatever amount of time you have, and always thinking that something is going to take longer than you think it will.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so easy to get distracted and lost on YouTube videos, and somebody may have landed on this and kind of thinking, oh, I should be doing work and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, also, like, I waste time because I get lost about where sometimes people communicated to me through. So I remember like, oh, I need to get back to that person, but then I'm like, did they WhatsApp me or Facebook message me or did they DM me? And sometimes I'm just like searching for a message. So yeah, and then I've just started to be really strict with using Google Calendar. And then if I've got meetings with people, or even phone conversations, inviting people to that event.
That's a really good boundary setting, because it kind of makes it official.
And then put in a kind of time, even though yesterday I got caught on the phone to a Lib Dem MP person, and but then I was walking the dog, so I kind of ripped that off in my mind. I thought, oh, don't worry about it.
Real life.
Yeah. But what else do? I do a grounding meditation just for 10 minutes. So I make sure I put feet flat on the ground. I imagine roots coming out of my feet going down into the centre of the earth. And then in the centre of the earth, there's this golden amber coloured energy that I draw back up, and I put it through into all my cells. Imagine this. And then it comes out the top of my head, any excess. So I try and do that 10 minutes every morning. And we do that with all the students in every lesson. So people talk about mindfulness, and we do kind of champion the whole mindfulness movement, and we practice it as well. But grounding is a really important thing, because it helps to stabilise your mental imagery. And how can you learn your spellings or times tables unless you can kind of picture in your mind's eye what you're trying to remember?
That's so good. I'm going to do it with my child, and he'll be dangling on this chair here. I mean, that sort of visualisation and just stopping. I've done it as an actor for many years, all these kind of crazy exercises. I didn't go to one of those drama schools where everyone's like, let's just get naked and that's how we're gonna learn.
I thought you did, Nicky.
But like, that is sort of taking a moment, because so many people say, oh, I don't have time to do that, and it's like, but actually if you don't put those foundations in place and literally put those roots down, the other stuff is kind of just crazily swirling around you. So if somebody is watching this and thinking, I'd like to do that, or not obviously the same thing, but start their own business or move outside of their comfort zone, or maybe they've got a young baby and they're kind of like, I definitely need to change things up. What would be your sort of 3 advice tips that you could share?
Well, I think we live in an age of brands, so I think come up with a good name. And I think I said it on Saturday when we were both speaking at an event. Try and think of a name that people can easily spell when you say it to them, so that they can Google you or search for you on Instagram or whatever. But so have a good name that you can spell. But then think about your brand, not just the visual aspect, not just the colours and the aesthetic, but what is your story? What makes you different? Whether it's a t-shirt company, why, there's a million t-shirt companies out there. Why is your one special? Why is it different? And then third one, do the numbers. Do your maths. And if you can't, if you don't feel like you're good at maths, get help with doing the numbers to do a mini forecast of where can you see this in the next year or 2 years, and try and work out, is this just a bit of a dream hobby, or is this viable? Because if it's not viable, then
start a t-shirt company.
That's a company. Yeah. So they're probably my 3 top tips. And look after. Well, can I add 4? Look after yourself. Like, you know, at the end of the day, you're probably wanting to start your own business because you feel like you'd be happier. This Winston, you feel like you were happy with that life, but if then you're going to start running your own business and run yourself into the ground, then go back to your original idea of why you wanted to do that. So make sure you look after you, whether that's, you know, getting a pedicure or getting counselling or going out in nature or meditating, whatever it is that keeps you grounded and allows you to release stress. Do that.
Absolutely. And especially as a mum, totally. I know I'm always the last in the pile in this house, and it's something I'm working on. But anyway, I won't keep you any longer. I know how busy you are. I've loved talking to you. Thank you so much. How can everybody find you and come and say hi and all that kind of good stuff?
So we're on Instagram at Tomato Tutors. We've got a website. You can email me at hello@tomatotutors. I'm always up for writing a little piece for anybody's blog or or giving tips on how to help your children succeed in their education. So get in touch, and always happy to offer free advice.
Great stuff. Thank you. Thank you so much.